Hello and welcome everyone to the Beacon of Light podcast tonight. Tonight, so close to Christmas. This is an exciting time, and we have the beautiful Miss Angela Witczak here. And so before we jump in, let's get this party started.
I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now.
And we are back.
Hello.
Hello everybody. So welcome, Miss Angela. So tell us where you are broadcasting from this evening.
I am from Baraboo, Wisconsin.
Excellent. Fun place. Do you guys have some snow up there?
No. This is going to be like the first Christmas in a long time that's not white.
Wow. That's a shocker for me. Wow. I was thinking how much did you have to think through?
No, nothing. We've had one really minimal snowstorm and everything. It's brown. It's a brown Christmas.
Well, sometimes that brown Christmas helps us to remember and reflect back on all of the beautiful white Christmases. So without further ado, here we are. And Miss Angela is a two-time author and a bestseller author. So this is really exciting. So Miss Angela, we're going to jump into both books tonight. And you can see running on the ticker underneath us, the first book is Life is a Circus and My Walk, My Way. So a lot of different things happening, but some great matches. And so what Angela had said at the beginning before we jumped on here, basically we're going to do a dive into her life. And then as the beautiful people who she is connected with, 11 other authors or 10 other authors, because you're the 11th, the 11 authors all together put their heart and soul in sharing their story within different chapters of how they have their own walk, their way, and what happens with all of that. So those of you who are here live, please share, comment up below, and let's bring you guys in live. So let's start off with Life is a Circus and share a little bit about how that whole thing came about for you.
Well, first, I just wanted to tell you that the circus sign, my favorite. I love it. People often say that their life is a circus or a zoo. They give it this connotation that feels unhappy or crazy. And when people go to the circus, they don't go to be unhappy. They go to be joyful, entertained. And so when I wrote this book, I wanted people to understand that life can be tragic and can be filled with chaos and can be filled with juggling plates and clowns and all the things that are a little crazy. But it can also be fun, and it can also be filled with laughter and joy. And so I really dive into all of the pain and tragedy I experienced and how I turned it around and lived my life filled to the fullest.
I agree fully. And I was able to get kind of a sneak peek on this amazing book. And so it was really fun to see how it really connects. She's done something great with matching different, we'll say, characters of the circus with her life. And share with us maybe one or two of those characters from the circus that's within your book that matches your life.
Sure. So what I've started calling my book is a memoir mashup of other people's circus stories and my own circus stories. So I talk about the fat lady and the ringmaster, being a sideshow freak, and how exciting it is. So the fat lady is how we start off the book and how we end the book with two famous fat ladies. And how both of them transformed their lives and how much it compares to my own life through a weight loss journey, through transformation, feeling the shame that so many women feel of weight. So that's one really, impactful character for me. The other one is I talk about two different clowns. I talk about my childhood clown. Happy, the clown was his name. He was very famous here in Baraboo. And then I also talk about a second clown, Emmett Kelly, who was also famous, and he's known around the world for a picture that was taken of him after a fire. And it's called The Day That the Clown Cried. And it talks about this big famous fire that the Ringlings experienced and how he was caught on camera carrying a bucket of ashes. And it talks really about how the show must go on and how we can recover after tragedy. And now I've experienced 2 fires in my life. And so I talk about how even the circus has tragedy and has these bad, horrible days, and the show must still go on, and how you can move it to the next level and how you can move your life into the next act, so to speak. And so that's really these pieces that are played in my life and in the circus.
That's right. That is just an incredible part to say. And I heard you right. 2 fires within your own life.
Yep.
What happened?
Yep, a business fire and a house fire. And the house fire, me and my husband and our 8 children. Yes, we have 8 children. And my mother-in-law and our 2 dogs. It was midnight. We were sleeping, and I was just getting up to nurse our brand new baby, who was 6 months old. And I could smell smoke. And my husband came running out of the bedroom and said, "There's a fire, get out." And we all rushed outside. And then from there, we had to rebuild. Thankfully, it wasn't a total loss. But, when you have 11 people and 2 dogs living in one house and your entire house is filled with smoke damage, there's a lot to rebuild from after that. So that was our house fire. And then a year later, our business caught fire and we lost everything. And so it's really recovering after these major, major tragedies. And then back-to-back tragedies.
Wow. It is something where you have choices. All of us have choices. Yeah. So Angela's choice was to sit and cry in the ashes and be done. Oh, no. Wait, no, that was a different choice. So Angela's choices was to call everybody and be like, "Oh, my life is so terrible. Victim me, poor." Oh, no. Okay, so no. I must confuse you with somebody else. So how did you have such an attitude to rebuild and to keep moving forward? What did you do?
Well, I mean, if you see my Gmail is choose today 366, that's really the theme of my life, to choose every single day what you're going to live with. Joy, peace, harmony, love, sadness, anger, bitterness, all of those things. We get a choice in our life. We get to choose how we're going to embrace the day. Now, were there days that I did cry and say, "This sucks, and I can't believe it, and I want to give up"? And absolutely. And I stayed there for a minute, and then I regrouped and moved on. And it's really that next step, that taking the next step, that gets you where you need to go.
That's so true. And in all of that, the portion that I wanted to kind of focus in on, which the blog does this morning, it kind of focuses in on this idea of comparison and shame. Mm-hmm. So we have tragedy that happens. People can pick themselves up. They have their moments in their day and they move forward. But it seems like the everyday, the acid rain of comparison, right? That slow drip. And I'm sure some days feels like the fire hose, but really it's that slow, unrelenting drip of the little stuff that happens. And you're thinking, well, their life is, and then you make the list. Or you look over there, well, she has, and then you make the list. Now you're full of lists. And then what? Like, what do you choose to do when the shame starts to overcome when you're doing that comparison? How do you get out of it?
Ooh, that is a great question. When I say you, I have had to stop comparing, right? I've had to stop.
Okay, wait. You're telling me the magic was you just stopped?
Right. It's like so easy to say. It's such a no-brainer for me just to say, well, I just stopped doing it. I had to consciously make a recognition that your life is not my life, because you have walked through plenty of things that I have not walked through, nor do I know how to walk through. If you just plopped me into your life, I would probably have a nervous breakdown immediately, because your life is not my life, and I have not been equipped for the experiences that you've had. I've been equipped for the experiences I've had. That's really the key to this comparison game that we play. That's the key to understanding other people, because the best we can do is be empathetic, but we'll never be in someone else's shoes, ever. We might have similar journeys. We might be able to say, I can relate to that in such a way, but we'll never be in somebody else's shoes to know what they've experienced. So it's far easier just to stop the comparison and live your own life than to try to be in someone else's shoes, because you'll never be in someone else's shoes.
Great wisdom there. So I hope you all are listening to that, because that's really something key. As simple as it sounds, you do have to stop. Mm-hmm. That next step is the choice of what to do, and realizing and noticing, their life, similar journeys, a little bit parallel, but still her experience, her life, her growing up situation and perspective leads her into the perspective she has today, and honor and respect that, and empathize when you can, and just love, right? And just share it out, because the comparison is really that trap, and it's a huge piece of the shame. Yes. And the force and the constant barrage of that comparison trap, it's unbelievably terrible. So when I was looking at your book, I'm thinking about our circus friends, right? Our circus clowns, and the high wire acts, the just all of it, from the freak shows to the highest type of performer. He's thinking about, I'm sure one act could sit back and look at the other and say, well, I could never. And the other act would say, well, yeah, I could never. But how does the show go on if we're all sitting in our own little camps, comparing ourselves and moping about? How would the show ever go on?
Well, and what kind of show would we have if we were all the same? How boring would the world be if we just were the same? You know, we have these unique gifts, talents, abilities, and lives, and it makes the world colorful. It makes the world a more exciting, enthusiastic, joyful place to be. And that's the world I want to live in. That's the world I want to create for myself, because I want to have all of these experiences, and I want to delight in everybody else's experiences too.
That's so true. Getting that perspective and having that delight and sharing it out and living within the moment is something really, really cool. Okay, I want to share one of your stories from your book, from your Life as a Circus book, because I think it is very, I think it summarizes this portion that we just talked about.
Sure.
And so could you maybe explain about your flash mob wedding?
Oh, my flash mob wedding. Sure. So I have been divorced twice, and I carried a lot of shame, blame, and guilt about all of that, because after my first divorce, if I felt unwanted, how would I feel after my second? Well, certainly unwanted. So then no one wants me. And so I had to do a lot of personal growth work, and I had to do a lot of life work to get me into a position for me to ever have a new relationship. So at 31 years old, I started my life over, and I met my husband, my now husband, Edward, at a grocery store. He met me, really stalked me for a little while, and fell in love with me after he followed me around the grocery store. And we have 8 children between us. So we had 7. He had 2, I had 5. We got together. We decided to have one together, and we wanted to get married, and we couldn't really decide how we were going to get married. Now, this was my 3rd wedding, his 2nd. And, all of the things come into play. Who to invite? Where is it going to be? What do I wear? All of these items. And something I had said after I hit rock bottom in my life after my second divorce was, if I ever remarry, I want to wear a polka dotted dress, and I just want to drink margaritas and have a party. And so for several years that we were together, we hemmed and hawed about this wedding. And it always felt like a circus, really. We couldn't ever decide any of the key players or who to invite. And we didn't want to offend anybody. And eventually it just turned into something that we would just set aside. We'll figure it out later. And I wanted to get married. I wanted to be with my husband and be a husband, wife. And when I was all about writing dream boards and vision boards, which is how I actually, spoke my husband into my life, was through my very first vision board. I wanted a husband. So I put a wedding ring on my dream board. And when my husband asked me to marry him after 12 days of knowing me, yes, 12 days of knowing me, he got me this ring, which was actually the ring on my vision board. And so after being together almost 6 years, one of my coaches said, well, do you have a wedding on your vision board? And I said, no, only a happy marriage. And she said, well, don't you think you should get married? And I said, yeah. So I put a wedding on my vision board with a polka dotted dress. And one day Ed came to our office where we were working and said, how fast do you think we can get married? And it was a Monday. And I said, well, we don't have the kids, and it takes 3 days at the courthouse. And so I think probably next Monday we could get married. And he said, okay, let's do that. And so when we were sitting in the office talking about it, it was like, well, what do we do now? I said, well, what if we just have a flash mob wedding and we just tell everybody, tell the whole world that we're getting married at 6:12 on Monday night at the courthouse steps. And if anybody wants to be there, bring a lawn chair and we're going to be there. And then afterwards, we're going to Jose's for margaritas. And so that's what we did. I ordered a dress off of Amazon that was polka dotted, and we threw the whole thing together in 8 days and had a beautiful flash mob wedding downtown in my town. And then afterwards went and had margaritas, which is exactly what I wanted. And it was so much fun. It was the best day of my life.
Wow. Incredible, right?
Yeah.
You just right there. No comparison. Focus in on what you needed, what you wanted, put it up there, and ta-da, finished.
And one of the things that I thought about when I was just telling this story is that so many women, especially, they get bent out of shape about their wedding day. And if I could tell any new bride or wannabe bride this little piece of advice, it's your day. Do you on your day. Don't make it about anybody else, and do what you want to do. And that's something that so many couples forget because they think it's about everybody else. And it causes so many fights and tension and frustration. And what I want for people when they get married is to have the most beautiful day. And so I hope that if you're watching this and you're getting ready to get married, just remember it's your day.
Beautifully said. Well said. Yes, yeah. That's so, so true. So you can see how making the decision to not want the comparison in your life is huge. That right there drops a lot of the shame because you're able to look at a perspective where instead of taking on this whole, what I call the shame shadow, and as it sits and weighs on us and it puts us in darkness, no, we can just, I don't know, weird, like turn towards some light. Like, it was that
Yeah.
easy. It is
Yeah.
that simple. And when we do that, that that's it. The shadow's behind you.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely.
It's just back there. It's gonna stay back there because the light's here. It's always gonna be back there. You have your choice to turn around, look, sulk, pout, cry, compare with it.
Yeah.
Don't recommend it. Or just, I don't know, stay in the moment. Stay in the light.
Yeah. You see that meme that circulates on Facebook that's the two people and they're riding on a bus and one is like looking out the window and the other one is looking out their window and it's a wall and that's all they see is this dark wall. And the meme says something like, just look out the other window. And how often in our life do we just need to sometimes change the scenery and look out the other window and see a different point of view?
Perfect. Exactly it. So with your story of My Walk My Way, I understand that it is now a bestseller even in pre-sales.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
Share
you.
a little bit about this whole journey with this anthology of how you invited people to come and be a part of this, how you got the theme together. Share a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. And I see Abby Miller's watching and she's just saying whoop whoop. Abby Miller is one of our authors. I'm super excited about My Walk My Way that just came out. It's sitting next to me. Here's my proof copy that just came for me to look over. My best friend Laura and I have been friends 11 years. She was with me from the time of my divorce. She went through my rock bottom moment with me. She's been there with me. And about 9 months ago, only 9 months ago, I was part of a different project and I was complaining to her about how unsatisfied I was by this other project that I was working on. And we were talking about comparison and we were talking about women and how, there's this stigma out there. If I just do it like Brene Brown or Mel Robbins or Rachel Hollis or whoever, right? If I just do it like one of these strong, amazing, beautiful women, then I will have arrived at my life and then I can say that I'm something. And we were starting to see this amongst other people that we were friends with or that were out, on the internet world. And we were starting to see these trends and patterns of, if only I could be like so-and-so. Well, no, you just got to be like yourself. And so we sat down and had a couple of Voxer messages, which is like a walkie-talkie, where we were just back and forth, kind of frustrated and complaining to each other. And it was one of those light bulb moments. I mean, literally, where Laura said, well, what if we just write the book? What if we just do it? And I was like, okay, because I will follow that woman anywhere because she's always got great ideas. And so I said, well, okay, well, what does that look like? And she said, well, what if we just get a group of women together and we write this book? And that was back in the end of March, beginning of April. And our book is out now, or our book officially releases on January 2nd, but our book is already in pre-sales for the last month. Because what we did was we put it out there. We put it out to the world and said, we're looking for, and we got 10 other women or 9 other women with her and I. We're looking for other women to get on board with us and to write about doing life your own way. Where in your life have you done life unlike anybody else? And tell us about it. And so we had these other 9 amazing authors come forward. And these stories, I mean, because you got to help us with this project, they are phenomenal. We've got an adoption story and a business story and infertility and parenting and domestic violence. My own story that I wrote about is about how I've raised almost $1 million for nonprofits in the last couple of years, and just my own burning passion that your life doesn't have to be together for you to change the world.
And say that again. Say that again. That's an emphasizer right there.
Your life does not have to all be together for you to change the world. And that was my lesson that I learned. That was, for me, you know, a little bit about my story. I won't spoiler alert everybody else's amazing stories, but my story, you know, you guys heard a little bit about my story already because I talked about my circus. I was in a place in my life that my house it was literally raining in my house, literally, like coming through the ceiling. And I wanted to make a difference in the world. And I had gotten a piece of very vile hate mail from somebody who told me that I'd never amount to anything and that I was basically worthless. And I was hearing, you know, that shadow of shame. I was hearing it over and over and over in my voice, in my head. And so I thought, what could I do? I'm nothing. I'm a mother of 8 children. I'm not formally educated. It's leaking. My house it's like raining in my house. I can't do anything. And then I heard this little voice remind me of something I had heard doing personal growth work back 11 years ago, where I started, that said, if you find yourself saying that somebody ought to do something about that, take a look in the mirror because you're somebody. And so I started to change my life. I made the choice that it didn't matter if it was going to rain in my house because I could still help somebody else with whatever their problem was. And eventually my problems would get fixed too. And so I started by raising money. And so like I said, in the last 3-4 years, I've raised almost $1 million for several charities in my community. And I've seen a homeless shelter go up, and we're in the middle of a big splash pad project and other projects that are super exciting for me. And I did it all while my roof was leaking, which thankfully my roof is no longer leaking. My roof is finally fixed. But I did it on faith, knowing that my gifts and talents could be used other places, even if I couldn't fix my own situation.
Beautifully said. See, that's just it, everybody. Stop waiting for perfection. Stop waiting. Why are you waiting? Right. Everything's happening right now. Go for it. If only you can do one little thing, send the text, make the call, say hi, do it. If you can do more, do that. Everyone's season is different, and it's different for a reason. But join, be a part of, do what you can.
Yes.
And I love what Abby says here. You know, she helped me overcome my circumstances. So
thank you, Abby.
I mean, it's incredible. We just never know. We are blessed with so many gifts and talents and skill sets. And when you say, oh, but I couldn't, just shove them aside.
Right.
Put it away and just go for it.
And I couldn't, right? I'm not a roofer, and I didn't have gobs of money. The reason I didn't fix my roof is because I didn't want to go into like even more debt than I had already been in my life. So I would rather just have a leaky roof. But I was able to help other organizations. I was able to use my gifts and talents to do other things that I was talented at. You know, I cannot swing a hammer, but I can pick up the phone and I can ask somebody to donate to my cause. And I am great at that. And so everybody has these phenomenal gifts. And I'm so excited when I see people using them and letting go of the imperfections and the comparison.
That's right. So women out there, if you've heard anything tonight, let go of the comparisons. We are ready to start 2022.
Yes.
The new year for the new you. What are you going to do about that? Start small, start little, and things are going to happen.
And I'm going to say this, I just posted this snarky comment this morning or yesterday. It's not about the new you. It's about being the authentic you, taking the steps into yourself and saying, I give myself permission to do life my way. And that's enough.
That's right. Satisfied right there.
Yep, that's enough.
That's enough. Poof. Thank you, Miss Angela. This has been awesome. And I hope everyone can be a part of this, watch and catch the replay. Make sure that you have that opportunity with the new year coming up to take and accept what you have inside. Even if you have never tried it before, just start.
Yes.
Just start. I mean, you've never done it before, just start.
If you don't like it, it's okay. You're not out of anything. Not out of anything. You can do something else.
Right. Just start and see what happens. Connections. We are meant to be together. Humanity is meant to be connected, and you have something that someone else is asking and praying for. And when you deliver it in such a way that will probably surprise you, it's usually really small, but the impact ripple from that, only someone else can see. They got the whole perspective up there. They're like, yeah, just do it. Come on. I gave you that gift. Come on.
Yeah.
We'll just see how it all happens. I love what Abby says here. Perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Beacon of Light podcast tonight. Next week, we are having a break, and so I can be with family and all of that. So we will not be broadcasting next week, but we will start up again the following week. And go check out the blog, see what Miss Angela has. Check out all of her 2 books out on Amazon. Go for the pre-sales with My Walk, My Way, as well as go to Life is a Circus, because you will be surprised at this read and how life can really improve in your life when you just accept what you have and enjoy the moment. We'll see everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.